Do you think her mom would hurt her for any reason?
Okay, we have got to talk about this newly released interview. This interview with Madeline Soto's best friend, it took place on March 13th, 2024. You know, this is almost 2 weeks after Madeline was found, unfortunately not alive, suspected unalived at the hands of her mother's boyfriend, Stephen Stearns. She has so many bombshells with her little quiet voice in this video. I couldn't believe it last night. I was watching Gavin Fish, the YouTuber. He was going over this interview and a different one with Madeline Soto's best friend. And yeah, I don't like saying her name. They mention it, just her first name, a couple of times in the interview audio. We're going to listen to this whole audio. But she's young and I'm sure she's heartbroken. But the things she was saying, I was like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. So I had to contact police in Florida today. I did my own FOIA. Thank God. God bless those police in Florida. They gave me my own clean copy of the interview, even though it's noisy as all get out. You'll see what I mean. But there's so much that this little quiet girl in her quiet voice reveals about Madeline's state of mind, how badly Madeline felt at her birthday party that Sunday night, Sunday, February 25th. The things that made her angry and the things about her menstrual cycle, her period, that were kind of misinterpreted. And that's why this detective showed up. He was getting clarification. This detective is with Kissimmee. This interview is with Madeline Soto's best friend and her mother. Again, two people I won't name, but whoa, listening to Gavin Fish go over it, I like the way he covers this case and his journalistic experience and everything. So we learn about Maddie's mood at her party, about the day she spent with her quote-unquote stepfather. That's what the best friend called Stephen Stearns. It was just mind-boggling, and it added more to the knowledge that we have of this case. And it is also clarifying the stuff we thought we knew about this case. So I'm glad this detective came back. By now, by the time you're watching this on YouTube, I hope to have already had a clean copy of this audio, 18 minutes or more long, over on Patreon. For those who just want to listen to it without commentary, you know, some people would just prefer to hear the straight interview. But here I'll explain a lot because there's so much going on, and the young girl, her voice is so quiet. I've listened to it twice now, at least twice. So if you want that clean copy, check the link below. And I'll try and boost the girl's audio too, at least on YouTube. I'll probably maybe just put the raw file over on Patreon. This girl is sweet and she speaks softly, and of course a landscaper starts with the noisy noise pollution. It's a whole mess. I will explain to you what I think I'm hearing. So thank God for the police department who gave me a copy of this March 13th interview. So it was March 13th around 4 p.m. Detective Kaluskin and Detective Morris responded to an address in Orlando, Florida to make contact with Maddie's best friend. A lot of people apparently told them in their other interviews, oh, you know, check with this girl. She's Maddie's best friend. She would know the most about Maddie.
Start this. The date is March 13th, 2024. The time is 4 p.m. We are at Detective Morris, Detective Kaluskin, and this in reference to case number 24001896. If you don't mind, I'm just going to set this down here because I know you talk kind of soft, and so I can capture what you say. So, like I said previously before we started the recording, I'm here and I'm the lead detective that's investigating the case for Maddie. Okay. I know you spoke to Orange County detectives in the past. Mm-hmm. Some were all right, some were not so pleasant, according to your father. So I'm going to do my best to be as... I'm in a house right now with my wife and 3 daughters, so I kind of know how to talk to females and stuff like that. So I just have a few follow-up questions from when you spoke to Orange County Detective Payne, I think his name was.
It begins with Detective Morris saying that he's the lead detective now on the case, and he knows that this girl has spoken with Orange County detectives, some good, some not so pleasant, according to her dad. Now, I believe he is referencing, and he does mention, Detective Jeff Payne. Unfortunately, Detective Payne obviously must have offended this girl's dad previously. Remember that interview we just listened to not long ago with all of Maddie's friends talking? I'll link to it below if you haven't haven't listened to that or watched that video yet, where they talk with Maddie's friends, this girl included, one of Maddie's best friends. They go to her house even before Maddie was found. And Detective Payne, I understand it because I know, audio, you try and get the quietest, best environment. And I know he just wanted the girl to sit in his patrol car so it wouldn't be sounding like this is going to sound right now with landscapers galore and all this other extra noise, so much so that you can't even hear necessarily some answers. I've tried to hear everything. But apparently I think that was part of what offended this best friend's father, because when Detective Payne was like, okay, well, can she come sit in my patrol car? I know he wanted the audio to pick up well. I know he didn't want to just stay there in the living room or wherever they were and just have a parent sit there, because I'm sure he probably felt this girl won't open up and tell me the truth about Maddie and anything she knows with her dad standing right there. I'm sure that might have been the detective's thought process, but obviously it must have offended her dad. I don't know if that's the specific interview they're referencing, because the interview had taken place the day before. It might have been March 12th, where it just kind of angered this best friend's dad. And remember also in that interview, Detective Payne, he was going with a gut feeling, and he was trying to say maybe Maddie did make some kind of outcry. He was inferring to the little girl, maybe you just don't want to tell me. So I don't know if that's what was offensive, but this best friend said she didn't know anything about Maddie, suffering what she suffered. So they'll talk about Detective Payne more, but let's get through this interview. Right when Detective Morris puts his recording device down somewhere closer to her, maybe in the middle of them, because she's soft-spoken, I appreciated him doing that. Instead of keeping the audio, you can tell sometimes some officers keep the recording device near them, and then the person might be all the way across the room, so you hear them clear as day, but the person they're interviewing you can't really hear. So as soon as he puts the recording device down, the landscapers show up. He must move it closer to her, and he's like, I'm gonna scoot closer, because she is soft-spoken. And thank God this girl's mother is there. Her mother actually helps her speak out more, reminds her of stuff she might have forgotten. But the things this girl said just amazed me. So she was placed under oath. Her mom was present. The detective here is apologizing for the Orange County detectives, but he says he has to clarify a couple of items she had previously discussed.
Did you go to Maddie's birthday party on Sunday?
Yes.
Who else was there with you as our friends?
Me and Emily.
Emily?
Yeah.
Do you know Emily's last name?
No.
Does she go to your school?
Yes.
What grade is she?
7th.
7th? Any classes with Maddie?
PE.
PE? You don't happen to have her phone number, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Do you mind giving it to me? Are you feeling better? Dad says you weren't feeling too hot yesterday.
Yeah, I'm feeling better.
So Maddie's best friend definitely attended Maddie's birthday party, she says, that Saturday, February 25th, along with 2 other friends. So he's asking her who else was at Maddie's birthday party other than family, so she names 2 other girls. She doesn't know the last name of the one girl, but she knows her number. You can hear the birds even singing so loudly, it sounds like a window might be open. It must be a beautiful March day, and the detective is asking for that friend's number. And he also mentions, oh, your dad said you weren't feeling too well, so we know it's likely so much grief come down on this little young girl, your heart goes out to her. So her dad must have said she's not feeling well. There was a different interview I remember. I think it was the February 27th interview with this girl where she didn't go to school that day. That's why in the previous interview, when I went over the friends' interviews, most of them took place at the school, but this girl, you can tell he was going to her home and her dad was around.
Alright, so you 2 were basically the only friends that were there at
Yes.
the birthday party. How was she during the birthday party? Was she outgoing, happy?
When Emily got there, she kind of changed her mood, but I was the first one of her friends to get there, but she was kind of on me for stuff. She would kind of get mad at anything I asked.
What? What would you ask her that would make her mad?
There was food there, and I didn't know what the food was, so I asked, and after 3 times of asking, she got mad at me asking. Okay. We were playing red light, green light, and she got mad because I wasn't standing in the correct spot, and it would just be about really little things.
Okay.
So Detective Morris is asking the girl how Maddie was acting at her party, and she said Maddie was kind of upset when she got there. Once the other girl got there, her demeanor changed a little bit, and maybe she got a little happier finally when two friends showed up. But the best friend of Maddie said she was the first one at the party, and Maddie got upset with her, because the best friend was asking her 3 times, oh, what's this food? What's that food? What's this food? So we know from Jennifer's interview previously, she spoke of Maddie having certain types of favorite foods, Puerto Rican foods. That's when she starts naming different types of, sounded like she said pigeon peas and frijoles, and she's saying stuff, and then the detective is like, oh, wait, and she's like laughing because the detective didn't know what Jennifer was saying. Maybe it was Maddie's favorite types of Puerto Rican food at her party, I'm assuming, but her friend didn't know what they were, and she was just asking what it was, and that made Maddie upset. They were playing red light, green light, and Maddie would get mad at her best friend if she wasn't standing in the correct spot. So just little things she said and did. I don't know, I feel a heart for this best friend for having to take this type of treatment, and I also still feel, of course, a deep heart for Maddie because we know it probably wasn't her best friend she was upset about. You know how they say hurt people hurt people. So Maddie experiencing all this pain and hurt from Stephen Stearns, of course, it's natural for victims to lash out at others without meaning to. So the detective jumps pretty quickly into questions about Maddie's period. This really fascinated me.
I know it's difficult for me to ask, but I have to ask because it might be important in the future. I know you shared with either Detective Payne or the other female that was speaking with you that you and Maddie kind of were maybe on the same cycle.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay. And in the interview with Detective Payne, you said that Maddie may have gotten her period later on.
Yeah.
Was that in February or January?
January.
Okay. Did you two discuss at all about February's?
No, not really.
Okay. All right. Because I think you also mentioned to him when she doesn't get it, she's kind of moody.
Yeah.
Or okay. Did it appear that way when you guys were at the birthday party or the weeks leading up to it?
At the birthday party.
She did. Okay. She seemed.
Of course, they're gonna know that last time.
Yes, exactly. So I'm gonna scoot a little closer. So during the birthday party, she seemed to act kind of the way she would if she didn't get a period.
Yeah.
Or she would. Okay. Did she say anything else was bothering her during her birthday party?
No. Yes.
Well, we should. She was back in
Oh yeah, she had told her friends literally she told all of us the day before her party. So she was mad that no one could make it because everyone was out of town or they couldn't make it.
And she was upset at that.
Yeah.
He was saying, okay, he knew from previous interviews this best friend had mentioned their periods, their menstrual cycles usually synced up. So this is obviously a matter of utmost importance to the detectives. No matter how many rumors are floating around from that pedo that was on Reddit, remember, trying to claim, oh, everyone's announced Maddie wasn't pregnant. We don't know. We've had no official announcement. I've seen no official announcement from a family member, from anyone getting on camera saying so-and-so, the state's attorney, or anyone official. I haven't seen it with my own eyes of someone saying Maddie wasn't pregnant. That doesn't mean she was. That doesn't mean I want her to have been, but so many people are willing to declare it as truth when we just don't know. Either way. But we know it's important to detectives because he delves right in. He's asking about Maddie's birthday party, and then he's asking right about her menstrual cycle. He's saying, yes, I advised that this girl had previously mentioned her and Maddie may have been on the same menstrual cycle, meaning they got their period at or near the same time monthly. So this best friend now clarified, Maddie got her period in January, but she did not know if she got her period in February or not. So the detective clearly says, did you two discuss at all about February's period? And she answers, no, not really. So Maddie's best friend was speaking about Maddie's period being late in January, but she never knew if Maddie got her period in February or not. See, this was huge news to me because previously the way some people had interpreted the writing, before we heard the audio, because they will give us a synopsis of their interpretation of the interview. But once you hear the interview and you get like the actual transcript, or you try and create a transcript of what you're hearing, if you can hear it, sometimes it reveals something much different. But previously, from what we read prior to hearing this interview, we knew her best friend said, oh yeah, their period synced up. And Maddie's period was late in February, and some people interpreted it as it was 2 weeks late and eventually she got it. But the best friend is saying here, she's clarifying, I don't know if she got it in February or not. Like, she never said, oh, her period was 2 weeks late, but then it started. She never said, oh, then it started like Valentine's Day, or she never said, she just didn't know about February. So I'm glad he's clarifying, because I have heard some, the previous interviews, or you see and you read and it's just not clear in terms of follow-up. So I'm glad he followed up. The best friend did mention that Maddie would be moody when she did not get her period. And that makes sense to me. Once again, so much pressure on a young girl like Maddie being a victim of Stefan. And of course, I'm sure she was probably worried about being impregnated by him. I mean, it's a natural concern. It's a horrific natural concern. And I don't say this to take anything away from Maddie or do any kind of victim blaming. It just is a natural concern. So just when they start talking about how moody Maddie was at her party, the landscaper starts making tons of noise. The detective says he's going to scoot a little closer, but I'm wondering if there's a window still open or not, because it sounds loud. Sometimes it drowns out this quiet girl's voice. I mean, that's why they have like sound studios. We try and just fabric and containment, and sometimes people don't realize just how loud other things can be, how much the audio can pick up. So the detective is asking, during the birthday party, did she act kind of like she would have acted if she didn't get her period? And the best friend says yes, like she was acting like if she hadn't had her period. That's the kind of moody she was. Even though the best friend will kind of go on to explain in a way maybe that Maddie was always moody. So I don't know if that can be attributed to a late period or not having a period, but I can only imagine being a victim that Maddie was, being so young, potentially being worried, all these drugs, not just normally prescribed stuff, but we don't know what Stefan might have been giving her or slipping her or what have you. I felt really bad for this girl and how tired Maddie was and her classes and everything. So at first her friend says no when the detective asked if anything else was bothering Maddie at her birthday party, but this is where you can hear the best friend's mom sort of start chiming in. She's helping her daughter get more comfortable and explain her feelings better and remind her of things she might have forgotten she told her mom when she got home from the party. The mom will do this more at the end of the interview, and I really appreciate it. The best friend then explained Maddie was upset because some of her friends had canceled going to the party the day before. This could be one reason Maddie was really upset that Saturday prior to her birthday party. Maybe just one reason. People were canceling because some people said they'd be out of town, etc. So think about Maddie. She had pumped up this birthday party all month, as you'll hear. She was expecting this big blowout. Family, friends, presents, I know she just wanted to feel love and attention. And unfortunately, she didn't get that. So that could be one reason Maddie was upset that Saturday. We know when we listened to Yolanda's interview, Yolanda, who is Maddie's grandma, said she called her ex-husband because Maddie didn't want to go home. Maddie had spent Friday night at her grandma's. That Saturday, she didn't want to go home. She was crying or what have you. She spent the day with her grandma's ex-husband. I'm assuming that's her grandpa. Was that one reason Maddie was so upset that Saturday? Why was Stefan so upset that Saturday? I don't think Stefan would be freaking out and asking his parents for anti-anxiety medication over, Maddie's birthday party, not having enough guests or whatever. Something still had to go on that Saturday, February 24th. At this point, Detective Morris seemed really keen on one particular text from Maddie, where Maddie had asked her friends for the date of their last or next or something. They either say NPA or MPA. I start hearing, in my mind, MPA. Let me know what you hear.
In going through Maddie's text messages, you guys appeared to have a group text going between you and a few other people.
Yeah.
Okay. She asked you about dates for NPAs.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you still have those text messages in your phone?
Right.
Maybe. And the reason I'm asking is because it looks like when she asked for the dates for the MPA, either
Yeah. The thing I went to, Monday. Oh, okay. All right.
and it seems like either nobody replied or those messages didn't go through on her text on her phone. So the MPA, I don't want to scroll through it. Is the MPA conversation before this or after?
She said it right here.
Looking at and that's regarding the MPAs?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it doesn't look like there was too many conversations after that, if any. Yeah, that's one I kind of. I'm just gonna scroll down to the bottom of the. Oh. How do I get rid of that?
First go all the way down.
Yeah, go to the very last messages that you had that Maddie would have been a part of. You're like my kids. Scroll forever.
Yes, lots of talking.
What was that?
All right, I don't know. I don't know if this is because Maddie asked specifically in a text message. Do you know the date of MPA? Do you have?
You have a lot of different group messages with Maddie?
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention, just for the record, Sage's mom is also present with this interview. Okay, that's fine.
Now, they were pontificating over on Gavin Fish's channel NPA, the letter NPA, which could stand for no parent around, like some kind of texting code, like NPA, there's no parents around, we can talk freely, we can do whatever. I don't know, I just didn't take it that way. I'm Googling, I couldn't find any texting language saying, NPA. I do remember parent over shoulder. Remember that POS? Parent over shoulder, I remember that abbreviation. I don't know of NPA. Nobody in my family has ever heard of it, nor my kids, and I couldn't get a feel for that. I'm thinking instead they might have said MPA. MPA with an M, like Mooney, refers to a musical performance assessment, an annual assessment event for secondary music programs. The assessment evaluates musical performances on specific criteria. The reason I believe Maddie M Thank God I wore a Merry Christmas shirt. The reason I think Maddie was saying M, as in Merry Christmas, the reason I'm thinking she was saying MPA is because we know she was in the choir. We heard from the previous interviews with her teachers. She really was into choir. Even Jennifer talked about Maddie's beautiful voice in that transport interview. You know, supposedly she was watching Sister Act the last night of her life. But the detective is trying to pin down that text, and he says it looks like there wasn't too many texts or too many conversations after that. So I'm sure he's just trying to get an accurate time of death, approximately in there, to see when Maddie's text messages, her last ones, went out to her friends in these different group texts. He's asking her best friend to scroll all the way down to the last messages she has in the group text that Maddie would have been a part of. So this is taking a while. The noisy landscapers are making all their noise. He said because Maddie asked specifically in a text message, do you know the date of the MPA? I'm just going to assume it's an M. She has a lot of different group messages with Maddie. She says, she responds, yes. Her mother is like chiming in and saying, oh, do you have a lot of group text messages? A lot of group texts you ran with Maddie? And she was like, yes, because we hear a lot of dead air, save for the noisy leaf blowers and whatever. So the best friend tries, but she cannot find that text message from Maddie. I don't know if she, you know how you can search in the search bar for like MPA.
Going back to the birthday party, what time did you leave the party?
Picked you up what, 7?
Yeah, so around 7. I got home at 7:15.
Emily left the same time.
Okay.
Because I saw Emily walk out. Her mother was already there. Her sister, someone was already there to pick her up, and then I
Picking up
saved
Emily.
up.
Okay. Who all from Maddie's family was there? Was there a lot? Or?
Yeah, there was a lot. I can't.
Okay. Did Maddie say what time she was leaving the party to you guys, or what time she's going to go home?
I had asked her when the party was going to end before Emily had came because she was asking.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I don't know, this party could last till like midnight or like 1 a.m.
Okay. Do you happen to know who took Maddie home?
I don't.
Or did she even talk? Did she talk about it? Who was going to take her home?
I know what the person looks like. I don't know like how they're
Okay.
related to Maddie.
It was a family member.
Yes.
It wasn't her mom's boyfriend.
My mom's boyfriend was not at the party.
Okay. Did Maddie mention to you that he was going to be at the house when she got home, or anything like that? Mm-hmm. No. Did she mention to you about mom? Was mom working, or why wasn't mom at the party?
No, she didn't mention the mom at all.
Okay. Did she seem like she was upset at the mom? At her mom?
No, but I kind of figured that's why she was mad at the party.
Because her mom wasn't there.
Yeah.
Got it.
Anyway, her mom reminds her that she left the party around 7 p.m. that night. Everyone left around the same time, and this best friend was home by 7:15. So we know we saw that beautiful video of Maddie with the blue thing wandering off in the sunset. So I'm trying to remember when the sun set that night. I'll try and find the time. I guess there were some family members at Maddie's birthday party, but of course we know Jennifer was not there. Jennifer has explained in other interviews she had to work. They had considered rescheduling. She had gotten this new job, and she was like, oh, should we or shouldn't we? But they didn't. This best friend had asked Maddie when the party was going to end before the other friend who was there had even had her cake. And Maddie was answering, I don't know, this party could go on till like midnight or 1 a.m. That sounds so cute. I mean, maybe it really could with family there, and you know how kids' parties sometimes turn into adults' parties. But it sounds like to me Maddie was trying to like, I don't know, big up her party and herself and like, oh, this party could just go on and on. You know, feeling like a teenager, turning 13 and everything. Now the detective asked, did the best friend know who took Maddie home? The best friend said, I know what the person looked like, but she didn't know the name. She just knew it was a family member, and it wasn't Stefan. So I do believe it was Jennifer's sister, Maddie's aunt, who took Maddie home, and she lived only 10 minutes away from the condo. Her mom's boyfriend was not at the party. That's what the best friend definitely declared. So Maddie did not mention if Stefan would be home when she got home that night. So Maddie wasn't talking about Stefan. She wasn't talking about Jennifer. Even though I don't know if their absence at the party made Maddie feel a certain kind of way, but she wasn't talking about them. She wasn't mentioning Jennifer or Stefan to her best friends. Her best friend did assume Maddie was upset at the party because Jennifer was not there. The best friend said no, she didn't seem seem upset at Jennifer, but the best friend kind of figured that's why Maddie might have been mad. Whew. And just wait till you hear her answer to when the detective asks, oh, do you think her mom would ever hurt her?
All right. Now, I know you mentioned in also one of the interviews that every time, whenever you wake up, you always have messages from Maddie, regarding text messages.
Yeah.
And is that like on a daily basis? Or okay. All right. What would those messages just be about? Random stuff or the morning or?
She would say like, hi, good morning. She would send me a bunch of like Instagram and YouTube stuff.
Okay. And from what I understand, she didn't send you a message that morning, Monday morning. And as long as you've known Maddie, have you known anyone other than her mother to take her to school?
No. Other than her grandparents.
Other than her parents, okay.
Anyway, at this point, the best friend talks about when Maddie would generally wake up in the morning, say good morning, send her best friend Instagram or YouTube links or, whatever, reels, say good morning. That happened every day, according to Sage, but it did not happen Monday morning, Monday, February 26th. There was no text message from Maddie. Oh, just so sad and confusing and heartbreaking, I can imagine. She says it pretty quietly. The detective says, and from what I understand, she didn't send you a message that Monday morning, the detective asks. And the best friend says, no. She says it sadly and quietly. So it sounds like he's trying to narrow down this timeline still. Whenever Maddie was asking about their MPA, that might have been one of Maddie's last text messages sent. He's trying to get an exact time. He must not have the exact time for some reason. At this point, the noise pollution is so loud from these landscapers, and perhaps there's an unfortunate window or door open still. It reminds me of that landscaper in front of that school, that guy who did away with the United Healthcare CEO, Luigi Mangione, Chuck Mangione. Maybe it's like Mangione. Luigi Mangione, a journalist recently went to one of his schools, maybe it was his middle school or whatever, high school, I don't know. She was standing up there to do her stand-up. A landscaper, leaf-blowing guy was standing there intentionally right behind her, trying to ruin her report. I just thought that was childish. Anyway, moving on, the detective asked Maddie's best friend, do you know anyone other than her mother to take her to school? She says no, other than her grandparents. So this is Maddie's best friend, someone she talks to every day. So if Stefan had really taken her to school, maybe 1-2 handful of times before, like Stefan and Jennifer kept trying to pass off to people, I believe her best friend would have known. Her best friend would have known, oh yeah, Maddie told me Stefan took me to school this day or that day. But her friend is like, no, it's either her grandparents or her mom usually takes her to school.
Have you ever met this guy, her mom's boyfriend?
I went over to her house once or twice and he was there. I met him in person once.
Okay. Did she ever talk about him?
I knew she was on call with him a lot, and I knew that she had told me that he'd moved out of the house. Mm-hmm. And one day I had asked to hang out with her, and we had made plans a week or two before. Mm-hmm. And then the day of, I wake up to a text message, and it was like, hey, I can't. My stepfather's coming, and we're gonna hang out together for the day.
Okay.
Have you ever met this guy, her mom's boyfriend, the detective asks? The best friend says, I went over her house once or twice and he was there. So remember in this best friend's previous interview when she said she first met Stefan? She's going to clarify she only met him once in person. He was trying to give her a hug. So I was like, oh, he's so gross. So she says, I met him in person once. Did you ever talk about him? Were you dishing with Maddie about this guy, this horrific abuser? The best friend said, I knew she was on a call with him a lot. So I think she means FaceTiming. I think she's meaning Maddie and Stefan were always FaceTiming. She had told me that he moved out of the house. And this is the thing that gets me. She mentioned this before too. The best friend said, one day I asked to hang out with Maddie, and we had made plans like a week or two before. So you have these plans in advance to hang out with your best friend in a week or two. You try your best to keep those, barring an emergency, right? And then on the day of, her best friend says, I wake up to a text message that says, hey, I can't, basically, my stepfather's coming and we're going to hang out for the day. Again, like I mentioned in my previous video when the best friend kind of describes the same event, I find it weird because she's saying it's not like Maddie told her, oh, I need to go hang out with my mom and her boyfriend on this day. It's always just, I'm gonna go hang out with my stepfather. I mean, that's what the best friend calls Stefan. Maybe that's what Maddie called him. And unfortunately, she canceled plans on her best friends. But it sounded weird. It's like just Maddie and Stefan hanging out for the day together, it sounds like. Oh, so sad. Sad, sad, sad. And I keep wondering if it's that day that detectives were asking Jennifer about, like, what was this text message, Jennifer? You were trying to get some kind of a babysitter? Like you were trying to get, I think it's just a big excuse. Jennifer keeps claiming she needs Stefan to come up and babysit for her. Come babysit Madeline. The time Jennifer allegedly wanted to go out to lunch or wherever with a friend, and she must have been texting Stefan, the detective said, about, oh, come on up and help babysit Madeline while I go to lunch. And I keep wondering if that's the same day. I don't know what day they're talking about they spent together. But Stefan, I'm assuming he's leaving Northport, taking Maddie away from her best friend. Like a 13-year-old girl should just be hanging out with her 13 or 12-year-old, whatever, however old they were at this point, whatever day it was. Like they should just be hanging out together. Stefan shouldn't have been forcing his 37-year-old self to hang out with this 13-year-old girl.
Did she seem like she had a good relationship with him?
Yeah, they seem pretty tight. They seem really close.
Okay. Did she ever mention anything that would may have been weird to you about him or mom?
Other than that they were like really close and that they were like always on call.
Okay.
Like when me and Maddie were on call, she was either on call with her sister or him.
Okay. With whose sister?
Her sister.
Maddie's sister.
Yeah.
Okay. Could that be her half sister?
I guess.
Do you know her name? If I said her name?
No.
Okay. All right. I think that's going to be. I just needed some things clarified about the party, but she was definitely upset at the party.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you feel that she was upset at anybody in particular, or just upset in general?
Upset in general, kind of.
Okay. Was she crying or anything like that?
No.
Tell her what she would do. Tell him what she did.
The detective asked, did Maddie seem like she had a good relationship with Stefan? And the best friend said, yeah, they seemed pretty tight. Seemed really close. The detective is asking, did she mention anything about him assuming like weird or mom being weird or something? No, the best friend answered so quickly before he even finished his statement or his question. But then she clarifies, saying something like, other than Maddie and Stefan were always on a call, so she obviously found that weird. She says, like, when me and Maddie were on a call, she'd do something. I think she's saying she'd get off the call to take a call with Stefan or her sister. And the detective is like, could that be Maddie's half-sister? Do you know her name? The best friend said no. So obviously they're talking about Jennifer's ex-husband's daughter. And we still need to go over his interview, Steve Young. But we know that's the only girl that Maddie would ever consider a sister, a sibling. That's the same thing Jennifer told police. But Maddie was definitely upset in general at her party. Was she crying or anything like that? No, the girl answers, but the mom chimes in and is like, tell them what she would do. Tell them what she did. So I'm glad the mom chimed in. She's inspiring her daughter to speak more. So this is when the best friend, Maddie's best friend, opens up and just speaks the most and more freely.
When I first got to the party, she got mad because I didn't have a gift.
Okay.
Which I had already given my gift to her at school, but she had said like, where's like the rest? And I gave her like this really big bag of like full of stuff. And I was like, what do you mean, where's the rest? And she was like, you said that there were going to be like a whole bunch of stuff as like a joke. And then, like, so where's the rest of the stuff? And I was like, this is it. So when I showed up to her party, she was like, I barely got any gifts, and I was surprised I didn't get a gift from you. And I was like, but I already gave you my gift at school. So, and then at the end of, like, the party, like, when me and Emily were, like, leaving, she got mad at me because I didn't they didn't like shake all of like her family members like hands to like say goodbye, which I kind of was like, oh, bye. And then like I left, and then as I was like crossing the street and stuff, she got mad. She was like, I always get in trouble after you leave because you don't say goodbye to everyone. And I was like, I say goodbye, I just don't say it very loud.
Did she always have these kind of mood swings, I guess you could say, call them?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know.
She's saying when she first got to the party, Maddie got mad at her because she didn't bring a gift in hand to the party. But her best friend is saying, look, she'd already given Maddie her gift earlier, I guess, that day at school. So, or, well, not that Sunday. Maybe she gave it to her that Friday, or maybe she gave it to her on her actual birthday. Would that have been Thursday, February 22nd? So maybe her best friend is like, you know, I gave you your gifts already at school. But Maddie was asking, where's the rest? Technically, the best friend didn't show up empty-handed. She already gave her gift. Her friend explained she gave Maddie a big bag of cool stuff. But Maddie was saying, look, you said there would be a whole bunch of stuff as like a joke, and where's the rest? So when the best friend showed up to her party, she says Maddie told her, I barely got any gifts, and she was surprised she didn't get any at the party from her best friend. So I guess Maddie was expecting the gift she got at school and maybe even more gifts at her party. The best friend explained once again, I gave you your gift at school. At the end of the party, the best friend says Maddie got mad again because the friend didn't go and individually shake each family member's hand to say goodbye individually to all of Maddie's family. Her friend had just given like a general, okay, bye. And as she was like crossing the street, she said Maddie caught up to her and said, I always get in trouble when you leave because you don't say goodbye individually. So that's sad too. I can see both sides. I can see the best friend, you know, if she's a shy girl, I understand. Believe me, I get it. When I walk in a room, a party or friend's house or whatever, and there's a group of people, I might just like, hi everyone. You know, I don't individually necessarily greet everyone, or if I'm leaving, it might be just like a bye. It might be just like, bye everyone. But I get it too. Adults, when the best friend leaves, they're probably like, Maddie, where'd your friend go, Maddie? She didn't tell me goodbye, you know. But the girl says she does say goodbye, she just doesn't say it very loudly. And we can tell this girl has a nice, beautiful, quiet voice. Sounds like a sweet spirit. She did talk about Maddie always having these mood swings, yeah. So the detective is asking about Maddie's sleeping habits.
Okay. Did she ever talk about her sleeping habits? Like, would she go to bed late, go to bed early, sleep in late, get up early?
I know if she was like sick or something, she'd go to bed early, but she'd sleep in her mom's room.
Okay.
But other than that, she'd stay up pretty late.
Okay. All right. One last difficult question. Do you think her mom would hurt her for any reason?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. And I'm not going to ask you about him because you don't know him. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you can think of, since we're probably not going to be talking again, that you think I should know about Maddie or anything that has to do with that household?
I know that they have roommates.
Mm-hmm.
She told me that he moved out and that they got a new roommate. I don't think I can think of anything else that was like weird or anything other than the whole roommate thing.
Gotcha. All right.
Her phone is, I'm telling you this so if there's anything that you need from her phone, we have to go get her phone fixed. For some reason, it's not letting her it's not saying there's a phone number on it anymore. It just keeps wanting to do the email address and we can't get it back. So we've got to take it. But I don't know if we take it. We've been holding off on taking it until after you talked to her because I didn't know that if we redid it, we were afraid she might lose messages.
Gotcha. If you could do me a favor, and they'll probably ask you when you go to the phone store. I see you have an iPhone. Mm-hmm. If you could back it up to your Apple iCloud.
Yeah.
Because they're going to ask that anyways.
Okay.
They may be able to assist you in backing it up. I don't think I will, but in the slight chance I may need, because we have Maddie's phone and stuff like that, so we have a lot of the messages already. Mm-hmm. It's just that one message was concerning where she asked the date for MPAs, but nobody replies after that. And that's the reason I was kind of needing clarification on that sort of thing.
Was that because nobody knew?
Nobody knew the date, and then...
Is that why you didn't answer?
Yeah.
Okay. And it makes sense. If you do happen to think of something that we didn't talk about or something that just pops in your head, let mom or dad know. I gave him my card yesterday. Unless you want me to give you another one?
No, I'm sure he's
Okay.
right.
Please feel free to reach out to me, and then I can communicate through you, so we don't have to bother him. Because I know this is a very traumatic
Yes.
incident,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate that Sage has been talked to a few times already. It's just when a juvenile is involved and they have a best friend like Sage, that's the reason why. Because best friends know everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they know a lot more than parents and stuff like that. So I want to apologize. I don't know what happened with Orange County detectives.
Yeah.
We don't work with them. But I know your husband was very upset yesterday when I came. And I hope I can kind of smooth that over. But
No, you did great. It was the line of questioning and some of the words that she didn't know, and then having to explain what some of the words meant was something we didn't really want to have to go through.
Right.
So, I will say that when she came home from the birthday party, she was upset because Maddie was on her about everything. Sage doesn't like guacamole. She got mad at her for not eating the guacamole. She was mad about everything. They went outside and played. She got a water hose and was trying to... She was very angry. She was mad there weren't a lot of presents. This is all this stuff she came home and told us.
Gotcha.
She was mad because family members weren't there, and Sage's birthday is at the beginning of February, and she'd been building it up all month that on her birthday it's going to be a really big event, and all this family's coming in, and then they didn't.
Right.
So she was very upset. So, I mean, she was kind of touched, kind of breezed over it a little bit, but that was when she came home, that's what she told us.
Gotcha.
And there was this whole table, and there was one gift on it.
Oh, wow.
So there weren't a lot of gifts. So, I saw an interview with the grandmother saying, there were all these gifts and all these people, and that's not what was
Gotcha.
portrayed when she was there, unless that happened after.
Right. Okay. All right. But like I said, thank you for talking to me. Thank you. Also, we're gonna conclude this interview. It is now 4:19 p.m.
The best friend said, I know if Maddie was sick or something, she would go to bed early, but she would sleep in her mom's room. Other than that, she would stay up pretty late. Now here's the one last difficult question the detective poses to the best friend. Do you think her mom would hurt her for any reason? Instead of immediately saying yes or no, the best friend just says, I don't know. So then he says, I'm not going to ask you about him meaning Stefan, because you don't know him. I wish he would have gone ahead and asked anyway. I would have liked to hear what she had to say. But I find that fascinating too, that, Maddie's best friend, who I'm sure has heard an earful, even in previous interviews, it's so redacted, but this one's redacted too. There's a lot of empty spaces and we have to try and get things out of context. But this girl has had an earful from Maddie about her relationship with Jennifer and the arguing, and we're going to kick you out when you're 18 or send you to go live with your dad or blah, 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 blah. All that stuff this girl has had to endure. She's heard a lot from Maddie, I'm sure, about her bad relationship with Jennifer. She's not immediately saying, no, her mother could never hurt her, but nor is she going to, yes, her mom might have done something to her. She's just saying, I don't know. And remember, this is the same best friend who got a call from Jennifer, like right when Maddie was reported missing, and this is the girl who was brave enough to say, look, Jennifer didn't sound upset. She wasn't freaking out, and she was saying weird stuff like, I dropped Maddie off this morning at school. So this is a brave little girl. Is there anything else she wants the detective to know? Since they probably won't be speaking to her again, the best friend says, I know that they have roommates. She said Maddie told her Stefan moved out and that they got a new roommate. She says, I don't think I can think of anything else that's like weird with the roommate thing, she says. The mom chimed in about some kind of problems with her daughter's phone, like there's no phone number associated with it or something anymore, just an email address. The mom didn't want any messages to be lost, and they were holding out on getting her a new phone or getting the phone fixed. And the detective is like, that's good. When you go to the store, have them back up your iPhone, everything to the iCloud. This might be his last time talking to this best friend, but just in case, they don't want to lose anything. And he said, we already have Maddie's phone. We have a lot of the messages already. I was grateful to hear that. So I hope that means they have so many messages between Maddie and Stefan that really, puts the nail in the coffin on his case, As much as he tried to reset and erase stuff. The detective said it's just that one message concerning when she asked for the date of the MPAs, but nobody replies back. Basically, it comes out that nobody knew the date of the next MPAs or the last MPAs or any MPAs. That's why they didn't answer. So Detective Morris is saying he gave the best friend's dad his card yesterday, so there must be another interview from the day before, March 13th, 2024, with the same best friend. I'm not sure if that's what Gavin Fish played previous to this interview last night. Check his channel and see, because all these interviews are starting to I need them on a spreadsheet or something. The detective urges communicating through the parents so they won't have to bug the little girl, because they know this is a traumatic experience for this little girl. And I can tell, it's intimidating talking to cops and detectives and losing your best friend first and foremost, and something so traumatic, and not knowing what's happened and thinking, oh, this guy should have been a guy Maddie should have been able to trust, person in authority in her life, and no, look what he did to her. The detective apologizes. He says it's unfortunate she's been spoken with a few times already, and I'm thinking in my mind's eye, I'm imagining this young girl sitting on the witness stand, testifying for the prosecution, everything she knows. Best friends know everything. That's what the detective says at first. Well, they know a lot more than the parents and stuff like that. He wants to apologize. He didn't know what happened with the Orange County detectives. He's like, we don't work with them, but I know your husband was pretty upset yesterday when they came. So the mom is explaining it was the line of questioning and the words, some words they use she didn't know, maybe the daughter didn't understand, and having to explain what some of the words meant to their daughter is something they didn't want to have to go through. That leads me to believe maybe it was some kind of raunchy, horrible stuff, and I don't know if I've heard this interview they're referencing or not. So I need to go through and see exactly again what I have, what I need to get. Sometimes it all blurs together. Some sounds kind of familiar because the person is repeating part of what they said before, but it's a different detective. I don't know. The mom does explain Maddie was upset with her daughter over so many things at the birthday party about her daughter not liking guacamole. She just didn't want to eat guacamole. I love guac, but I get it. Yeah, especially sometimes certain kids' palates, they just don't like what they don't like. Maddie was mad about everything, this mom is saying. They went outside and were trying to play, and Maddie got a water hose and she tried to, but the mom stopped herself from saying squirt her or whatever, hose her down, but she just said Maddie was very angry, which is sad. You can't blame her. You don't want, of course, Maddie to lash out at her little friends, but we can understand why Maddie would have so much anger, feeling so powerless from everything she went through. Maddie was mad. There weren't a lot of presents. This is all stuff that the best friend came home and told her mom about, what happened to her that day. Maddie was mad because there weren't a lot of family there. There wasn't a lot of family members there. Now, since her best friend's birthday is the beginning of February, Maddie had been building it up all month, saying her birthday would be this huge family event. Now, I don't know what kind of birthday party her best friend had, if any, at the beginning of February. And I don't know if that's what prompted Maddie to say, I'm just putting words in her mouth here, but it sounds like, she was saying, oh, my birthday's going to be great. It's going to be this great, big, huge family event, family and friends or whatever. And then they didn't, so she was very upset, says the mom. So family members didn't show up. People didn't show up. This was the saddest imagery of all, in my mind. The mom says there was this whole table and there was one gift on it. So the image of that is just really poignant and sad, and you can just compare it to those glowing descriptions that Jennifer gave of Maddie's birthday party, and even her grandma Yolanda, this best friend's mom, is going to talk about. We can look back just in our memory, Jennifer telling the news, oh yes, she was so happy. We talked after her birthday. We went through her gifts. There's so much confusion because Jennifer talks about, we were counting her money. She was counting out her money when she got home that night, and she had all this big wad of money. And then in a different interview, which I still need to cover, it sounded like, I want to listen to it over and over again, that Maddie's aunt, Jennifer's sister, said Maddie didn't bring her money with her, like as if she left her money over her grandma's house. I don't know, that part's confusing. I got to get clarity on that still. this best friend, her mom even mentions at the end, there were not a lot of gifts. And she says, I guess not a lot of people unless the people showed up later or something. And then this mom says she watched an interview with Maddie's grandma saying, oh, there were all these gifts and all these people. And that just wasn't the case. So I do wonder, we see that little snippet of Maddie at her party, that little video we've seen. Yeah, I don't know if she was really happy or not. The pictures of her running around outside, maybe she felt better at some points than others, but she was expecting a lot more, and it sounds like. And that's one thing that can be a real letdown for a little girl who's going through this hardest time. Maddie enjoyed the things that brought her joy, maybe like singing, her gift, or, like choir or whatever, the things that made her happy. And maybe she was looking forward to this party like, oh, this will be a reprieve from everything I've gone through. We know Maddie was upset. Like her mother, to me, her mom could have made a way. I get it. Parents can't be everywhere. You have to work. You have to put food on the table. Believe me, I understand. But it seems like there could have been a way to make it work where Jennifer at least could have been there at her daughter's 13th birthday party. 13, 13 can be a significant number. And I just feel bad for Maddie, that Maddie had been looking forward to it for so long. I'm turning 13. I want it to be family and friends, and just imagine a big table and just one gift there, all these people canceling, and I don't know, I just feel sad. And that was her party, and her being very moody, which I can't blame her, but people are wondering, okay, Maddie may be getting angrier, fighting back at what she's been suffering all that time. When she went home after the party, did she put her foot down and say, no, this is not happening? I mean, you guys didn't even come to my party. Jennifer and Stefan, I don't know if she wanted Stefan there or not. Or, did she say, I didn't even get the gifts I want, and you've been treating me the way you've been treating me, Stefan? And did she just explode and fight back? I just wonder if we will ever know the truth. This video, again, was only 18 minutes and 42 seconds long. It ended at 4:19 p.m. that day. So it was brief. It was good. I just wish... Oh my goodness, I just wish we could get a nice, quiet interview where we can literally hear the people very well. We'll see what else we get. Hebrews 1:8. But about the Son, the Father says to him, your throne, O God. Isn't that amazing? God called Jesus God. Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. And the scepter of absolute righteousness is the scepter of his kingdom. Whew, thank God for today. Calming me down. So we'll see. I think the docket and I might go in to try and get a portion of what we talked about, that $11,250 estimate thing, a very small portion. I don't know how that'll work. Just stay tuned. In the meantime, whenever I can grab videos like this or see what we're missing, which is, I'm sure, a huge amount of stuff, a huge amount of discovery, we'll go through it piece by piece and see what else it reveals. But to me, this painted such a sad picture of a little girl who just really looked forward, I guess, to her 13th birthday. Just like her teacher said, we thought, oh, she'd come back Monday all happy because obviously she had probably been looking forward to this party. I don't know how many kids Maddie invited, but maybe she invited a ton of people. Then she started learning all these people can't make it, and just everything else she was going through most likely is what just set her off in this horrible mood. And think of a disappointing Sunday birthday party, coming home to this Yahoo Stearns just waiting on her, knowing what he was waiting on, and a mom who is just sending her off, in her own words, up to bedroom number 4 with the monster. Oh yeah, I didn't make it to your party, and now that you're home, and happy birthday. But let the mom tell it, let Jennifer tell it, and it's like, she was so happy. She was showing me all her gifts. Yeah, I believe the best friend. I believe the best friend. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.